State Representative Rick Brattin from Missouri is proposing legislation that would severely limit the types of food people could purchase on public assistance. So if someone is using food stamps in order to purchase food for their family, there are certain things that they wouldn't be able to buy if Representative Brattin's suggestion or proposed legislation passes. So let me give you an example of what he wants to do. The bill being proposed would ban the purchase of food stamps or the purchase with food stamps of cookies, chips, energy drinks, soft drinks, steak, or seafood. Okay, so he's very, very specific there.
Yes, what is he? I guess he's getting paid off by the chicken lobby. I mean, Jesus.
Okay, so he's concerned that welfare and food stamp recipients are taking their government money and they're going to Whole Foods or Gelson's or some other fancy restaurant, grocery store, and buying lobster tail for dinner. Okay, I'm going to get to the numbers and how much people will get from food stamps if they're in a family of 2 or 4. But that's not what's happening, okay? Now, he got criticized for this because seafood and steak, those are very, very broad things, right? What do you mean by steak? And also, seafood includes things like canned tuna.
What is that? Oh, what is hamburger? Chopped ham? No, chopped steak.
Amazing.
How about steakums and cheesesteak? Is that okay? Or
frozen fish sticks.
You steak them on the griddle, and then a couple of minutes later, you steak them in your mouth.
Okay, fine. So
you guys don't watch enough television.
Does steak mean only beef? How about lamb? Lamb's kind of expensive.
Right.
How about like center cut pork tenderloins?
Yeah,
those are good.
You
Those are
can't
expensive.
You can't have any of that,
Yeah.
okay? No soft drinks, no energy drinks, no fatty foods, no steak, no seafood. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, if his objective is to, it seems like there's 2 objectives he's trying to conflate. One is don't buy unhealthy crap like cookies and chips and energy drink. Okay, I get that part. And the second part is don't buy
anything expensive.
healthy, expensive luxury items.
Don't buy anything extravagant. And he was quoted as saying this. He said, look, if I can't afford lobster and steak on my salary, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure he's doing all right. He could probably afford that. Well, then no one else should be able to afford it, especially if they are receiving food stamps in order to pay for their food. Now, he says, my intention wasn't to get rid of canned tuna and fish sticks. But he said, I have seen people purchasing filet mignons and crab legs with their EBT cards. No, he hasn't. When I can't afford it on my pay, I don't want people on the taxpayer's dime to afford those foods either. Now, how much money do people get if they are receiving those types of, benefits? Well, currently a household of 1 can qualify for up to $194 a month or fewer than $7 a day as part of SNAP. Okay, if you're getting $194 a month or $7 a day to eat, I guarantee you that you're going to have a really difficult time buying steak or lobster. And even if you magically found a deal and you were able to eat those types of foods, I don't have any problem with it because it's food and you should be able to eat whatever the hell you want. Why is this even an issue?
Just because we give people money because they're incredibly poor and need money to feed themselves or feed their family, we don't have the right to tell them what to do with that money. What's amazing is that Republicans, conservatives who want to limit government intervention in the lives is restricting. No, you can't have chips, you can't have soda, you can't have an energy drink, you can't have seafood, you can't have... I swear to God, this guy's getting paid by the poultry industry. I guarantee you, because he did mention chicken. First of all, take a look at this guy. We see this? This guy, here's what he's done with his money. He's either had his teeth whitened or he went on Facebook and had his picture on Facebook, he whitened his teeth. This little chump. This guy he proposed a bill in 2014 to require a woman seeking abortion to get permission of the guy who impregnated her. That's the kind of guy Rick Brattin is. And the kind of people who think it's okay to take the poorest citizens in America, the people who need help the most, literally the least powerful people in the world. You're powerful. You're in the state legislature. Let's take the least powerful people and let's ridicule them. Let's mock them. Let's suggest that they don't know how to live their lives. When I worked in Charleston, I've mentioned this story before on the Turks, we were going to do a story because in some of the housing projects where people were getting subsidized housing, you could see that they had cable TV. And a couple of people who I worked with, that outraged them, right? Like, we're getting their subsidized, and they're spending their money on cable. Because it was like 94, not everybody had cable, right? And I knew right then it was good. It was like a awakening to, I grew up in a liberal family. I'm like, am I a liberal? And I thought, you're going to tell these people whether they can have cable or not? First of all, I love cable. Secondly, I don't want to go outside the housing project. I want to stay in and watch television because sometimes it's dangerous. But these guys think they'll bemoan that all we do is tell people, all liberals want to do is tell people how to live their lives. Nobody tells people who, I'm staring at you, Rick. Nobody tells people how to live their lives more than guys like this. And you're doing it by picking on the weakest, the poorest, the people who need help the most. He brings shame to Missouri and shame to America. It is disgusting, and I bet your teeth are secretly gross.
No, you're
Well said.
100% right.
Well said.
I mean, we're such dicks. I mean, well, he is such a dick. And we demonize poor people for being poor.
Right.
It is unbelievable. I mean, look.
And we celebrate the rich just for being rich.
That's
absolutely
exactly right.
right.
And it's just sickening. It's just sickening. And it doesn't make any sense from so many standpoints. I mean, you know, you can't have steak, but you can have chicken. You know, I mean, it's
Only dark meat.
yeah.
And by the way, just
Can't have a chicken breast. You can have a leg,
Or a
you can
thigh.
have a thigh. You cannot have. You can have one wing a week.
One way, yeah.
And just going back to what you were saying, Ben, about small government and how they're always preaching about small government, they only really want small government when it comes to regulating the banking system or
That's right.
regulating corporations or
Right. That's
businesses.
exactly right.
When it comes to any type of social issue or very, very personal issue, the most personal matters you could ever imagine, they want the biggest government imaginable.
So he wants to regulate whether you can eat seafood or steak, but he will not regulate how that seafood or steak is harvested and distributed and sold to people, right?
It's bad for big business.